speaker. So if I sound a little bit nervous, it's because I am. So with that being said, thank you for having me.
For coming all this way. Yeah.
Well, I am so very passionate, and I use my hands a lot, so Karen told me to make sure I'm very demonstrative when I speak. But I'm very, very, very passionate about helping people become the best version of themselves. And I jotted down some things I wanted to make sure that I hit on, because if not, I can go off in 5 different directions. So just a little bit non-keto related, and then I'll tell you my story. I am 54 years old. Cannot believe it. Cannot believe I have my beautiful mom here with me. My mom is my rock, and I will be married for 9 years to my high school sweetheart in June. Thank you. And between the two of us, we have 5 grown children.
Wow.
Who think they know everything.
Absolutely.
That I've never felt that way. But that's a little bit about me. I born and raised in Indianapolis, went to Perry Meridian back in the day. Got married right before I turned 21 and moved to Florida. And I moved to Florida, met him, got married, and we were married for 22 years. And he went through a really ugly divorce. He divorced me. So that's a little bit of background. So why do I do what I do? And that is why I'm here to share my story with you. There are 2 quotes, and these are 2 of my favorite quotes. Her name is Victoria Arlen. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, and I won't go into her story, but it's amazing. But I heard her speak, and she said, "Your test can be your testimony. Your test can be your testimony." And I'll go on to tell you that I've had many tests in my life. But my second favorite quote, "I'm not a product of my circumstances, I'm a product of my decisions." I'm not a product of my circumstances, I'm a product of my decisions. Therefore, I wear this t-shirt that I love. I am determined. And I am determined to get my story out to help people become better versions of themselves. And if part of that is to drink ketones, all the better, but my passion is people. So my number 1, I wrote down, and I have a little timeline here. With my favorite quote, "Your test can be your testimony." And I wrote down my test. What have I been tested in on life? And we're all been tested in so many different ways. For me, number 1, probably being married twice. It's hard. Marriage is very hard. You guys are supposed to laugh.
Well, I got you.
Thank you. So, but at 29 years old, I coded. And my 4-year-old called 911. And
You just had a heart attack? Is that what you're saying?
no, and thank you for feel free to say that or clarify what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I was told I actually coded once, and I coded again, and then
What's coded mean?
coding meaning I flatlined.
Flatline.
I flatlined. My heart stopped. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't hear anybody. I just heard the background noise.
Yeah.
So at 29, my heart stopped. I was feeling fine. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I woke up and I was on the floor, and Benjamin was 2, Caleb was 4, and I woke up and I was on the floor, and then Caleb was, Mommy, wake up, play puzzles. And I said, Caleb, remember who to call when something, if something were to ever happen to Mommy. I miss those days.
Yeah.
So without getting hung up on a lot of details, so at 29 years old, I coded, my heart stopped. I was told that I was to have a heart transplant. I was put on a heart transplant list. I was told at 29, and it's 60 seemed so old, but when I was 29, I was told that I had a heart of a 60-year-old man. And when I had to go into cardiac rehab and go and do all the exercises, it was like, everyone is so old here. But at 29, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that like really scared me, obviously. So I was diagnosed with an enlarged heart, and the only thing that can fix it is to have a heart transplant. That was, I'm not good at math, so whatever the math is, how many years ago that was. I never had a heart transplant. God is good.
Yeah.
He's good all the time. But the heart muscle strengthened, so over time, and I was taken off the heart transplant list.
Thank God.
Yes, so answer to prayers to that. But still diagnosed with sudden heart death syndrome. And what that means is that, and they can never find out why all this happened. But sudden heart death, I still have an implanted heart defibrillator. I've had many defibrillators. I have coded many times. And so with my defibrillator will save my life. It has saved my life because I flatline, and within 10 seconds, it's like the paddles, and I was in an airport, and my chair went from here all the way back there. They said it's like being kicked in the chest by a horse.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's that, but I thought a bomb went off this last time, and that it was in 2012. So going forward, that was at 29 years old, my first defibrillator, and I'll always have it, and I'm always thankful for it. But it kind of just put me in a denial state as far as, oh, this is my safety zone. Oh, I don't have to have a heart transplant. I'm good. 43 years old, my big next test, divorced, and I literally had a mental breakdown. Checked myself into the hospital, and then checked myself into my mama's hospital. Moved back from Florida, back to Indianapolis, and stayed with Mom and her husband, Steve, and it was bad. 45 years old, remarried, and that's always still a test, but he is a wonderful man. He supports me 100%. Does he do keto? Nope. Is he the one that first told me about keto? Absolutely. Because he loves me unconditionally, and I'm so thankful for
My
that.
husband did too.
Yes.
Richard told her.
Yeah, see, that's wonderful. But Richard's here, and Richard will follow it. He will have all of these sugar things, and I won't get off on that. Don't get hung up on the details. I made myself a note. 46 years old, I had a heart ablation. So that's my next test. So my heart ablation, what that meant was that after I coded in the airport, since what is going on, so I have my heart, the muscle, over the years strengthened. However, a normal person, I was going into VTAC 600 times in a month. And my defibrillator was picking up on that. So at 46 years old, I went in, they cut out that portion of the heart, burned it out actually, and I now have, and I'll always have a defibrillator, but I have maybe 1 or 2 episodes of VTAC in a month. And I can, so yeah, so again, God is good.
So what is the VTAC called?
Ventricular tachycardia, so normal heartbeat, boom, 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 mine will go boom, 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 boom.
Oh, like
And
when
then
they go over
beep,
the hill and
yes.
waterfalls?
Yes. So,
That's so good.
yeah. So I can, and they're called PVCs, pre-ventricular contractions. So, my heart get, oh, my heart just skipped a beat. So, at 49 years old, the next year, I'm 46, heart ablation. So that arrhythmias are better. 48 years old, back surgery. 49 years old, a mini stroke. And it was because of the mini stroke that there was no long-term side effects from. But because of the mini stroke, at my follow-up appointment with my doctor, general practitioner, she said, your white blood cell count is really not good. And not to get hung up on the details, 49 years old, diagnosis with blood cancer. Sorry, I didn't think I was going to get emotional. So, 29 years old, you code. I code, not you. I code. 49, diagnosis of cancer. CLL, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, is what I have. There's all different types of cancer, all different types. I don't have a tumor. I don't have a type of cancer that is even curable. The best case scenario is for me to be in remission. I am not in remission, and I'll get to that point. When I went to go see the oncologist for the first time, January of 2015, he said, Angie, you're young. If you're going to have any type of cancer, this is the best cancer to have. You probably won't even have to have treatment. Watch and wait. We're going to watch and wait. Blessing and a curse, because I'm the type of person, something's wrong. Not necessarily about my health, but it's like if I can fix something. So to be told you have cancer, but we're just going to watch and wait before we'll do anything. No one likes to be told that. So he said, you'll probably die of old age. Don't get hung up with the details. You'll probably die of old age. We'll see you once a year. You can have your numbers checked. So that was a shock, needless to say. But honestly, I kind of like the heart transplant that never happened. I just okay, well, I'm going to be watching weight, then I'm pretty much going to just continue on, as I'm doing, which everybody should do to a certain degree when you're given a diagnosis of cancer or whatever health condition that you have. And my sister said to me at that time in January of 2015, she said, Angie, now is the time for you to get healthy. Because I have, all my life, I could care less what I eat. I could care less about working out. I don't work out. I like to do yoga, but when it comes to putting what is good for us, good for me into my body, what I choose to eat. I smoked for over 20 years. Even while I was told, you're going to have, a heart transplant, okay. And there's nothing worse than to see a woman smoking a cigarette. That's in my own little soapbox, and there's no judgment. But anyway, I just did not let it affect me. But my sister said, Angie, you have 5 years, because I've done research, and my sister, she's very, very much, just no fluff about anything, hardcore facts. So I've done the research, and you have 10 years before treatment. And from all the studies I've done, read, and she's a French professor at IUPUI. She's very educated. But she's like, really, you have the next 5 years to get in the best shape that you possibly can, because when treatment comes, it's going to be bad. And if you're not physically, able to handle it. Okay. So 2015 to 2018, I was the best researcher. Meaning that that's all I did. It was like, research. What did I research? I got this book. And I said, my husband introduced me to keto. And he said, he had me watch a TED Talk on YouTube. And it was a doctor talking about sugar and cancer. And there's a lot of debate with that. But husband had me watch, his name's Dan, I'll quit referring to him as husband, Dan. He had me watch the YouTube video. I started reading this book, still working full time. I've been in hospitality all my life, worked at the Hyatt downtown Indianapolis, Hyatt downtown Louisville, worked at Disney and resorts for 22 years. Love people, love just to be around people, and Disney is the most magical place in the whole wide world. The metabolic approach to cancer. This book right here, and I'm going to steal this from you real quick. The Ketogenic Bible, I think, is the best book on the market. So, and it is like, I have my Bible, but this is Dr. Ryan Lowry. I've now heard him speak in person on 3 different occasions, and he is, and I have my card, I'll give you more information, or you can reach out to me personally, but Dr. Ryan Lowry, he has the domain on ketogenic.com, and he's the one who wrote the book, and he's amazing. I actually got to meet him in person just one time, and I always joke, I was fangirling over him because he's the age of my son, but he's adorable, but this book is really good. So I was mastery of, let me look at this, I need to do this, so all of these distractions, and was I doing anything about it? So I'd hear from my sister, so what are you doing? And she's not, and I say, so what are you doing? How many cigarettes have you smoked today? And we have that type of thing. So she stayed on me. February of 2018. So I took an early retirement. So of working, I was a assistant GM at a smaller hotel down in the Sheraton, Jeffersonville, Indiana. But from my back surgery, 2018, and then the fatigue hit me like a rock. With my type of cancer, it's in 94% of my blood, so it's almost 100. You might as well just say put a 1. 100% of my blood. Technically, 94% of my blood. It's in all my lymph nodes. That's why they call it chronic lymphocytic leukemia. But the fatigue factor in 2018 after my back surgery hit me like a rock, and I've been blessed that my husband worked for Ford. He worked up here at the Indy plant, and then he was transferred when they closed the one in Indy, moved down. He was transferred down to Louisville. So blessed, we have a 950 square foot home on 3 acres of land. He built me I wanted a little she shed. I'm an artist, And I was just wanting just a little she shed instead of my little 8x8 table. And he built me a 400 square foot building. And amazing, yes.
Big as your house.
Yes, that's the thing. Yes. I mean, it's pink. I call it Pink and Teal Studios. And I'm really excited because I'm going to be published in a national magazine coming out in April, so I'm super excited about that. But I told him, I said, everything's paid for, no debt, nothing. I've always wanted to work and needed to work because I need to be around people. Because the more I can be around people, the more distracted I can be and not look at myself. Because I can talk to everybody here and talk to people at the front desk, and I am so sorry. You'll fix this problem for you. But I couldn't fix my heart. Can't fix my cancer. So let me just put it back on the shelf. So I got to the point of my belief system is that, God allows things to happen. And will I continue to pray that my cancer goes away? 100%. But I got to the point of, but what if it doesn't? And so, okay, God, you've carried me through all of these tests from the age of 29 years old till 49 years old. So what can I do? What is my part? You want me around for some reason, so what do I need to do? Oh, my sister. That's what brought me. I was like, okay, I'm going to be serious. So, in June of 2018, and I have some pictures there. I went to June of 2018. Yes. I went to my. Let me just say. Okay. I went to my regular doctor, my general practitioner, and for the sole purpose that I had not started keto. And you never heard of keto. It just started, people just started talking about it. Yeah, you can pass those around. But I said I told my general practitioner, I said, yeah, I'm coming. I came today because she has a lab there. And, Dr. Azar, he's my oncologist, he was indifferent about me starting keto. My cardiologist, he was indifferent, and I'm going to come back to that, what indifferent means. But my general practitioner, she looked at me and she had my lab work in her hands, and she said, Angie, you are not starting keto. Keto is a fad, and your numbers say that you are going to have a heart attack in the next 6 months. And she said, but I can't say you're going to have a heart attack, but if you start keto, then you're just asking for it. And my cholesterol, and she said that because I was on high blood pressure meds. I wonder why I had high blood pressure. Denial. My cholesterol level was, and that's what she was referring to. She's like, no, you're not starting keto, you're starting statins. And your cholesterol level is almost 300. And I said, Dr. Nieder, give me 6 months. I said, do I want to be around? Absolutely. I said, but I've done so much research from a diagnosis that I truly believe that this is what I need to do. And she said, okay. She said, but I can't guarantee, because your cholesterol and all my other lipid panel, my numbers were so out of whack. And what I'll say to you and what I said to her was that I, obviously from everything I have said, is that I didn't start keto for weight loss. I've always had height, and my posture was better. I've always had height on my favor. I'm 5'9". But when I first started, June of 2018, I was 165 pounds. I'm currently 125. I was never over, the weight loss, that's been a bonus. But my passion is to help others be in the best metabolic state that we can be in, and that is to be into ketosis. And that means, what fuel am I going to choose? Glucose, our bodies run off of two fuel sources. Ketones, which we make endogenously, and glucose. And you choose which one you're going to tell your body to go off of. And I can guarantee you that if you are not doing the macros, and if you are eating tons of sugar and carbs, you're not going to be in ketosis consistently. So, back to the doctor. She's like, okay. So that was in June. I said, no, I'm not doing statins. No. I went back in September. I walked June of 2018. She came in. She said, wow. And I said, what? She said, you've lost some weight. And I said, yeah. And then she said, but I think you're starting to prove me wrong about this keto thing, because your cholesterol numbers have dropped 500 points.
500?
100.
Oh, 100, yes.
And honestly, it was, no. And so she's like, I said, told you, and I've been with her, I've been with her for a while. I said many things. I said, thank you. She said, yeah. She said, Angie, because we did the blood work, and she said, I don't think you even need to be on high blood pressure meds. Okay. She's like, no, I'm not endorsing the keto diet. And I said, that's fine. I can't endorse being a doctor. I'm being sarcastic. I'm very sarcastic. I said, I can't say anything about being a doctor because I'm not one. We only know our own bodies. So anyway, and obviously I'm not anti-doctor. But, so numbers dropped. I had lost 20 pounds at that point. Let me see here. I went in that September as well, and I went in to see my oncologist. And this is where I have to be very careful, because I cannot make medical claims. But that's after 4 months. He said, what are you doing? What are you doing? I said, what do you mean, what am I doing? And he said, your white blood cell count has dropped by 10,000 points. September of 2018, when he said, what are you doing? It had, without getting specifics, anyway, by September 2018, it was at 18,000, which that was, like he said, expected. It's going to do this business, climb eventually. But the numbers had dropped. And I said, I've been doing keto. And he's like, I said, really? I said, Dr. Azar, I've been seeing you now for 5 years. I said, can you not tell me? I said, what can you tell me, or what can you not tell me, since you are an oncologist? Can you not say that sugar is the worst thing for you, for your bodies? And so do you support people that just eat junk, that just eat sugar all the time? He said, well, I'm not saying that your numbers are, because when I asked the question, he started doing about 5 steps back, 20 steps back. I'm not saying that has anything, your numbers have anything to do with keto. I said, that's fine. I said, but answer my question, please. And that's when he got all doctorish on me, and I said, okay. I trust him as he is a specialist in my field of blood cancer. But he said, I trust him when it comes to cancer, but I was disappointed in the fact that he could not give the support, because I just needed for him to say, yes, Angie, sugar is bad for you. And it's like, daggone it, really? You are not a cardiologist. You're an oncologist, and you cannot tell your patients that sugar is bad. So I'm still frustrated with that, but I have no control over it. My cardiologist, however, like I said, he was indifferent because he just was like, he has a personality 0. So to him and to most people, so kudos to all of you who are in ketosis, because you are following strict keto, which is 20 grams of carbs or less a day. That was in June. Before I get ahead of myself. So, let me step in to say September, after 4 months, that's when I saw my oncologist, my general practitioner, my cardiologist. They all said, and my oncologist said, see you in a year. He said, well, I don't need, see you in a year, your numbers look great. What are you doing? But don't tell me what you're doing, because I don't believe it. Okay, so see you in a year. And he said, keep doing what you're doing, but he couldn't say the word keto. And I'm like, come on, really? But he actually gave me a high five. Keep doing what you're doing. That was September of 2018. November of 2018, just a little side note, I had acute appendicitis. And
get a break,
right? Crazy. And I used to think that, appendicitis is kind of like having your tooth out. Oh, no. I gave birth to 10-pound babies, and I felt, and obviously, yeah. Anyway, without going into details. So, very painful, but things have gone haywire because of appendicitis with my cancer numbers. And I'm going to get back to that because of the infection. So, I went back to my regular doctor in July of 2019, who said to me, no, you're going on statins. And I said, give me 6 months. So I went back to her a full year later, so July of 2019, and she looked at me and she said, wow. And she brought in her nurse practitioner. She gave me a high five. And all my blood work was completely normal. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Okay. Oh my goodness. Have fun. So all my blood work a year after doing keto, she said, you've proved me wrong. She said, I guess it's not so much a fad for you, is it? Because my cholesterol is completely normal. I was off all my, I'm not on any medication, anything whatsoever. She said, so I think that's amazing what you were doing. So completely normal blood work. That was July of 2019. This past September 2019, I go into my yearly exam with my oncologist. Even though I'm just tired, yeah, I had appendicitis, I'm still feeling amazing. I feel great because my fuel source every day, I get up, I have, my ketones. I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but that, and it's not a sales pitch because this is what keeps me ketones daily, reboot monthly, because this is what gives me my energy for the day, literally.
So is that your replacement for breakfast, or is that just what
I do intermittent fasting, yeah. Yeah, I don't, because the pharmaceuticals and the doctors tell us, and the American Standard Diet teaches, and it's all big pharma, is that 3 meals a day or 6 meals a day with snacks in between. And so to be very successful on keto is to have your macros correct as far as 70% high healthy fats, 5 to 10% of carbs, and moderate protein. Everyone thinks, oh, if you're doing keto, then you're just eating pounds of bacon and fats. And it's like, no. The difference, it's not Atkins. It's not, what the difference is that keto is that you have moderate protein. You don't have, and it's high healthy fats. So, I'm not sitting around stuffing my face with bacon all the time. I got in September of 2019, and this is where I said, I wrote down, it was my biggest test of all, and I'm still working with it. Told my husband, you don't need to go with me. I'm just, I feel great. I'm out creating in my studio, I'm painting, I'm doing yoga, I'm walking, I just feel great. This fatigue and blessed that I don't have to work, so I'm enjoying life. I'm just my 1 year checkup, I haven't seen him. I said, don't take off work, you're good. And if you know my husband, he's very much of a caretaker. So he did not go with me to not to get sidetracked, he did not go with me, he did not make the drive out to Indianapolis for my checkup with my oncologist because I said, don't, it's no big deal. I go into my oncologist office and he brought in the blood work, and he said, we need to start having a talk about treatment. I said, what? I said, how can that be? How can that be? So where I'm at right now, my next appointment is on next week. He said, I want to see you back in 3 months. Actually went back in December. But when I had my appendix out and the infection from the appendicitis, they look at 3 markers before they will do treatment: your white blood cell count, your hemoglobin, and your platelet levels. And because of the infection from the appendicitis, and because I have blood cancer, when you have a blood infection, that does not go well with cancer because the infection from my appendix busting before they took it out, there was severe infection. So we're looking at treatment. So he said, come back and see me. He said, because your numbers are all out of whack, and your numbers have to, if it drops by 1 more point on your hemoglobin level, and if it drops by 100 points on your platelet level. So my white blood cell count now is at 103,000. And he said, and what has happened, he said, because of your appendix and the infection bursting, he said that went through your bloodstream, and it has doubled, tripled, from a year ago it was 18,000. Now it's your white blood cell count is now at 103,000. So it pushes those other numbers down. But we still don't know when. So I'm going through a hard time. I'm going through a hard time. And I got really sick in November, December. Could not do Thanksgiving or Christmas. stayed at home, felt sorry for myself, and I have zero immune system whatsoever because of my white blood cell count and my platelets being so low and my hemoglobin being so low. So I said, I don't want to get hung up on these details because that's sad, and I'm not here to talk about sad things. But what is good and what is not sad is that I took my sister's advice. I am as strong as my mom, and that I will have the mindset. So here next week, I'm going to find out when treatment will be. It's going to be sometime this year. Hopefully, maybe next year, but who knows? So, what do to try to wrap things up as far as my journey and my brain and keto, is that I am so thankful because I've been given so many tests, that your test can be your testimony, and I'm not a product of my circumstances, but of my decisions. So now that I've been told, and I was told from the very beginning, but it's all the more real, that there is no cure for my type of cancer. My only hope is to be in remission from it. And that will include oral chemo and intravenous chemo. But I don't have to lose my hair, so I can still diet, and so that's good. So anyway, why do I continue this lifestyle? What is my current lifestyle? I started out, what are the benefits, and why continue? As I mentioned, weight loss, yes, for some people, because when I started June 2018, I told you 165, June of 2019, 130, March 2020, 125, that's where I'm at right now, so 45 pounds, and I stayed off, and I'm happy about it, but what I'm most happy about, and this is what I'm most passionate about, is if you look at this chart, and if you're serious about ketosis, of how dangerous sugar is and what it does to our systems, I make my sister proud because I am in the best shape of my life, other than having this stupid blood cancer stuff. But you know what? She told me, she said, you better get in shape. And I have, and my brain is still in shape, and I have the best mindset I can with it, because what I have been saying here, since I was told in September that, and you don't like to tell your mom, your mom my mom, not your mom, my mom, who's going to be 80 years old, and she has broken probably every single bone in her body. In October of 2018, she hit the sidewalk with her foot, and she fell, and she has osteoporosis, but I said she's a Jenga block, and she broke every single bone in her. It was like, and she ended up being a full, complete shoulder replacement, to broken arms, broken ribs, broken pelvic, broken leg. She has rods in her arms here, but she is a pillar of health. And what I'm most excited about with my mom is that MCT 143, medium chain triglycerides, that's what MCT stands for, coconut oil. Dr. Ryan Lowry, I've gotten my mom to start drinking, because she said to me, she said, no, I just don't like that, my memory is not as good as it used to be. And I'm like, Mom, that's the only thing, because it's not, that's what happened, and my memory is not as good as it used to be either, but she's a pillar of health. She's, other than being a Jenga block and breaking every bone in her body, she's in great health. But sitting and reading and learning and understanding the benefits of being in ketosis, of having our metabolism run off of ketones, they are now calling Alzheimer's, diabetes type 3, because in our brains, in a patient with Alzheimer's, there's brain scans, and what happens is that everyone with Alzheimer's, the glucose, our brains do not regenerate glucose. And what the scans show is that someone with Alzheimer's disease, the amount of glucose in their brain is almost zilch. Dr. Ryan Lowry, though, is now doing research, and we've seen brain scans, and there is scientific proof and evidence that ketones and being in ketosis, but having an elevated level of ketones in our system, how ketones do regenerate and being in our brains, and that the research is going on and the science is out, how that if our bodies run off of ketones and not sugar, how that helps with our brain function as well. And the Prove It has their own MCT 143. I was like, okay, 143, what is 143? I guess is that the sign? 143 is for I love you? And I never knew that. Dr. Mary Newport, she's a neonatologist, and her husband, this is way before exogenous ketones. This is before the keto diet, but her being and she's the author of this book, her being a neonatologist, her husband was diagnosed at 53. She's now in her 70s, I think. So 20 years ago, when her husband was 53, he was diagnosed with with early onset Alzheimer's. And so she started doing her own research as a doctor. And she started giving him coconut oil and or medium chain triglycerides. But he eventually passed away from Alzheimer's. However, and without what this did, he wasn't even doing the keto diet, but she started him off with taking coconut oil once a day and then twice a day, and I've seen her speak as well, and the difference in he would draw a clock, and then he would do all these things, but from drinking this every single day, how it significantly, and it held off his eventual death after being diagnosed at 53 with Alzheimer's, but how it did improve his cognition. Prove It reached out to Dr. Mary Newport, heard her story about her husband, and said, hey, Prove It is all about science, research. We would love to put your name. Can you give us your formula? What would you say? Dr. Mary, this is her formula, and she named it after her husband. MCT 143, and it's her husband, meaning that she still loves him, even though he's gone. But it made significant results for him. So, Prove It is, I started strict keto. Guys, hands off, shout outs to everyone and anyone that does strict keto, 20 carbs a day, and you stay in ketosis. I failed. When I said I started in June, I did. I tried so hard, but the cravings was the sugar cravings and the carbs and the Diet Cokes. I used to drink 2 liters of Diet Cokes a day. Mom, how many ounces of Diet Coke did you used to drink?
200 ounces a day.
Yeah. So I'm preaching to the choir here. We all know how addictive sugar is. And it was a true addiction. And then I would feel sorry for myself. So someone reached out on Facebook, and I don't even know who it was. And they said, have you tried ketones? And I said, I don't know what it is. And thus, I started taking ketones in July of 2018. And I'm just so passionate. So let me just get out of my own head here and just tell you why I love these. So people say, well, if you were really keto, then you wouldn't be taking any supplements. Well, that's because now that I can say, well, keto is a fad. So, but Prove It, before you even heard of the keto lifestyle, Prove It is the only company that created, and they have the patent on, exogenous ketones. NASA helped develop the science behind them. And what it is that nobody else, we make ketones endogenously, especially when we go into ketosis when you stick to the 20 carbs or less a day. But when we, the ketones that Prove It makes, they are 100% guaranteed. They are bio-identical to the ketones that we already have in our system. They have the patent on it. Dr. Ken Ford, who's on I just heard him speak. He's out on the board of NASA, and he just came and spoke at our event. And there was no regulations with the FDA as far as what things could say, as far as it will say, oh, keto friendly, or I guess there's a lot of keto supplements, BHB salts. So you mix this up with 8 ounces or 12 to 14 ounces of water. It's just a white powder. You mix it with water. And it is guaranteed to put you into ketosis within an hour of drinking it. What does that mean? How can that be possible? Well, it's bioidentical to what we make in our system endogenously, but now we have an elevated level of ketones. How long will I stay in ketosis? Well, what are your food choices? And what are your goals?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you're saying, even if somebody has not been on the keto diet up to this point, if they drink that, and then they use one of these little meter things, and they check.
Yeah. Keto Mojo? Yeah. Keto Mojo. So yes.
I might need to buy it.
Yes. So how do I know if I'm in? So to answer your questions, yes.
They would test in ketosis, even though they haven't been on the diet.
Dr. Trevor Miller, who was at before I met Karen, one of the very first potluck in Columbus. He a great guy, and he was there for his own chiropractor. When he had his own booth. That was the first time I met Dr. Miller, Trevor Miller, and he's all about ketosis, but he's like, same thing. So you mean to tell me, he said, did you bring your Keto Mojo? He said, do you have any extra strips? How do I know? So what, for those, and Mom, indeed, if I'm speaking pig Latin, I'm sorry. But you can test to find, there are 2 ways to test to see if you're in ketosis. There's urine strips, but I'm telling you, though, you will waste your money because you pee out ketones. The only source, and I got this on Amazon, is to prick your finger, and there's you put a little prick your finger here, and you find out what your levels are.
How often do you test?
I don't anymore. But when I first started drinking ketones, same thing. Yeah, really, Dr. Miller, really, show me, Angie, test on me. I don't drink ketones. I said okay.
So he drank a thing of bubble
and then
bath?
and within an hour, you test your blood. So they have to pack it because they're biodegradable.
Pizza food, and you're not sure that you're putting and you can test it before you eat the food, and then even before you eat the test again, you know how your body reacts to that food. Some people can get away with no products, and some people can't get away with no products. So, yeah.
So
But that also not only puts you in ketosis, you mentioned earlier in your, what you've been going through
Yeah.
and everything, story,
yeah,
real life story.
right, yeah.
Not made up story.
Yeah.
That gives you, it's an energy boosting thing too, usually for most people.
That's what people say, Angie, why? It's like, this is what gets me off, and I'm just telling you that because of my fatigue, because of my symptoms, because I'm going to a really hard mental space up here right now. This is the only thing that can, it's what gets me off the couch.
So, how many of them do you have a day? Like 1 a day?
I now have, because I don't, people who are wanting to really optimal, 2 a day. 2 a day, and there's it's called the 10-day challenge kit, and this is something that's brand new, and it's a variety pack, and there's 20 packs in here of different flavors, and just to say, you know what, try for 10 days to do 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, and then, most cost-effective wise is, okay, then after you find out what your favorite flavor is, then you can buy a box.
And there's chocolate in there?
They are no longer making the chocolates, this is the pack. Then I got, wow, I can fit in a size 8, size 6. All last year, I didn't lose a pound. I stayed at 130. But in Christmas, and being sick and all, anyway, I'm in a size 4.
Good for you.
I've never had that. It's my mom's fault. This is a McPhee thing right here. No but. but the thing is that, so why do so I've lost inches.
Now
I've lost 5 pounds.
That one's got caffeine in it. I read it. So
Yes.
some
Yes.
do.
Well, all of them come caffeinated and decaffeinated.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So, yes. So, every flavor, decaf is always in a white packet.
Okay.
And your typical day.
My
So you get up,
yep.
you drink.
My
your
day
pack.
is, I get up, I have my coffee,
With MCT.
I've been out of MCT. I either put MCT oil in my coffee. No, I don't do the butter just because the bulletproof coffee, it messes with my stomach. But I either put MCT oil or Prove It's keto cream because it's fruits, and that's why it has the patent on exogenous ketones. That's what these are, exogenous ketones. So I get up, and this is about what comes in the different flavors at the time in that 10-day challenge kit. So I get up, have my coffee, put heavy whipping cream, and I drink, I bought that 10-day challenge kit because, what did I emptied the box, thank you. It had been, ready to go. So this is in January. I purchased this because it had been a year since I had drank 2 a day, because it's like I don't need to lose weight. But it's like, okay, well, I stayed the same weight, that's good, but let's see what happens when I drink 2 a day. I did this, and I lost that final 5 pounds, but I didn't need to lose it, and that's being very vain. But now I'm back to, I get up, have my coffee.
Yeah, question over here.
And
about your coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, how much, coffee do you put in it?
Coconut oil. Do you put coconut oil in your coffee?
Coconut oil, MCT oil, same thing. I don't measure it anymore because you can never have too much, and especially when you're.
Yeah, how many calories are in a tablespoon of that? It's really, MCT oil has a lot of calories,
It
right?
does, but this is where it's 140 calories is what it says for 1 tablespoon. 140 calories. Yes. 0 carbs.
It increases your ketone level, MCT does,
Yes,
but
because
it
it
has a
helps
lot of
absorb.
calories.
Yeah, but when people are asking about the whole calories versus carbs. Thank you, but carbs, but it's like what I teach and preach to people is that if you are having your macros correct, if you are having the high healthy fats and the moderate protein, that keto is not
calorie basis.
it's not calories. Yeah. So
When I did my macro thing, there was a lady that got down to size 8
yeah.
that helped us get started. She had a calorie count for each one of us too.
Yeah.
And do you try to stay within that calorie count?
I never paid attention to calories. I never paid, and I never did.
How do you keep tabs of your micro?
I use my Fitness Pal app through the Google store, and what I love about that is that, and I always help people set up their macros too. But what is so good is that, is you can put in when you're out at Olive Garden.
Yeah.
You can put in, fettuccine Alfredo Olive Garden, and it will give you the carb count, the protein count, the fat count.
I mean, no, darn, those things are awful. I think they're awful.
I love this. But their zoodle, their fettuccine, that is the fake fettuccine. It's good. What's it, zucchini? What's it called? Zoodles, yes, zoodles. So very, very good.
Is there anything we can do to help you get through? Because it seems like you're having kind of a hard time.
I appreciate you saying that, and just by you letting me share, and I mean this with all my heart, by letting me share my story, that this, by helping, that's helping, and prayers. Because,
Let's do that right now.
sure. Anybody wants to pray? Yes, go.
I'm going to come up here.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you right now, and we want to lift Angie up. Father, you've gotten her through a lot in her lifetime, and we know, Father, that you're with her now in this battle that she's fighting with the cancer. We know that you're going to be with her all through this. We know that you brought her here to us to help us understand how her changing her eating habits and such, she feels, and some of the doctors have agreed, some of the doctors, we understand that whole situation there, that the keto lifestyle has helped her with this. These products that she's presenting to us, she also feels has helped her greatly. And Father, we just ask that you continue to be with her, especially in a health situation, but also in all other areas of her life. Continue to bring her closer to you, Lord, because we know that's what you want for each and every one of us, for us to grow closer in our relationship with you. And if she's going home tonight or tomorrow, give her a safe travel home too. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. That's awesome. Well, thank you all. Yeah, I can answer one-on-one questions, but just to give you because I didn't fully answer my question. So to be on test, I get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 9, sometimes 10. Have my coffee. Because I drink, have my coffee,
With the
then
cream.
with cream, or
With
MCT.
This cream.
No, heavy whipping cream or keto cream, and this is more pricey. So I'm just aware of it. So heavy whipping cream I use because it's a high healthy fat. Then around 2 hours or an hour, or when I start to feel hungry, I pour a packet of ketones into a shaker bottle, mix it up with water, ice. I don't eat until I'm hungry. So if I'm getting a little bit hungry, but the huge thing and what made the weight loss come and what made me get off of sugar was that not only it's a huge appetite suppressant, but I have no the cravings for sugar, all things sugar. And my husband says, you don't eat enough. Well, I don't have to eat 3 meals a day, but I'm glad that I'm off of sugar because I get up, like I said, coffee, wait till I'm hungry, I'll drink one of these. Then I won't eat until I'm hungry. When is that time? Usually around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And everybody's system is different, but I'm telling you, huge appetite suppressant, bioidentical to the ketones we already make in our system.
And then you have another one when you first started, later in the day.
Yeah, with the 10-day challenge, I've done 10 with caffeine, 10 without.
So then you do the non-caffeine.
I did the caffeine free in the afternoon. That I was only having then one meal. Only one meal a day. And I'm just not, when I drink these, I'm just not hungry and I feel great.
And it didn't, you have a heart.
Yeah, defibrillator, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it didn't make your heart race. You know how some of these little
Yes.
energy bottles or something? I took one of those one day and I thought I was going to die.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah.
Big man-made product.
Yeah,
Yes, it's all bioidentical to our, so the Red Bull energy drink, or one can of Red Bull energy has 227.5, sorry, new glasses, bifocal. That's another test. I have bifocals.
You'll get used to them.
On it, hate it. 27.5 grams of sugar. 27.5 that's one can of Red Bull.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Carol, you're doing this too, right?
Carol, yeah.
And how, can I ask how much you've lost weight-wise?
I started in April 1st, so I lost 75 pounds.
Wow.
Wow, that's
So it hasn't been a
amazing.
whole year and you've lost. And how soon after you started keto did you start this? Do you know?
How soon did you start doing those? Prove it.
I
Start to do and prove it.
How?
and the lady I work with,
She did it
worked
from
out.
the,
She
she
gave
did
me her
basically did it
sample.
from the beginning.
Did
I
she?
started the first day on April 1st.
Oh,
But-
you
Yeah.
always.
I didn't do keto before.
Yeah, okay.
But I first started and they told me to take half. And
We
then
on your
for
way?
like first
Oh,
2 days, 2 or 3 days,
Yes.
and then you can have full on your full glass.
Right. And yeah, everybody's system is,
Different.
is as far as how it affects you, because you are cleansing out your system, you can have diarrhea. But and I did, but I had IBS too. So, so I always tell people too to start off with a half a packet,
I thought
And
about
it's
she
more,
buys
and it's
me.
more, you know, it's cost effective. I mean, it's not, because they have the patent on it, it's not, they're not cheap. I mean, it's not, but
Can I ask
can't
you how
put a
much?
price. Absolutely. So a box, on Smart Ship is $100 each. And that's 22% off, and every third month.
You get
and
another
it can be canceled,
packet.
it can be canceled anytime with no penalty if you don't want to have it come each month, but,
And does a box get you through the whole month?
there's 20 packs in a box. So, to answer your question straight on, no, because there's 30 days in a month, of course. But by the third, so I started off by drinking half in the morning, half in the afternoon, because I was not going to do more than I can't afford to do, and I don't know too many people that can. Just, you know, plop when you're retired and your husband works full time to carry you through. I can't afford to do $100 a month. So I have two people. Oh, what are you doing? So what? Like you were saying, Angie, I want a box tonight. And I said, okay, Smart Shit. So when the two people, I gave two people my referral lead, and so now my Keto for free each month.
Because then you've got two people that are buying under you.
Yeah.
This is.
Thank you. I'm going to give you my card so you can reach out if you need to, because I'd be more than happy to.
And you, well, you know, at the church here, Karen and Ricky are here. Can you talk your son into coming?
The machine is like diabetic strips.
Yes, the Keto Mojo is measures
They
your
have their
glucose.
own.
They have their own, they're not
Yes, and
diabetic.
your original, it measures your ketones,
You know what it is?
a strip,
No,
and
she
then.
has like diabetic
strips. Yes.
They don't, it's the same
Keto
as
Mojo.
diabetics, no.
No, just that they look kind of like the
Well,
same
you
thing.
use two different strips.
Yeah.
There's
One for your glucose and
Yes,
there's one for your
yes.
keto.
So you,
Oh, okay.
so you
So-
prick your finger here, you know.
Oh, it is like a
Yes.
glucose?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, there are two
And
strips.
then you
One's
put,
for-
yes, there's one strip that you put in here, so you got the blood, and you would switch it over to glucose, and it would read it, and then take it out, put the ketone strip in, you know, draw blood, and it measures your ketone levels.
So it's good for both, you can use it.
Yeah. So, my last level, bye, thank you. Yes, yeah,
Not
and
done.
please, you know, if you're on Facebook or your
It's not
son,
done.
just friend with me or Karen, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for
I'm
coming.
diabetic.
So,
I
yeah,
have to do
my
that
last time I did this, it was what, 3.4? 3.4.
What's a good measurement?
You are,
You
point,
want to be above 1 point something.
Yeah,
I was having a hard time with
yeah, but
But
Dr. Miller, and he drank a pack, and he's like, okay, test me now, you know, he's like, test me now. He was like, anything above 0.1 is your crisis. So immediately, he's like, okay, I want to try this at all different times, and I said, okay. So he drank it, gulped it, and I was like, okay. And he tested,
Did you feel energetic?
Dr. Miller's crazy. He's, up guy anyway. And so I couldn't tell anyway, because, you know, he was on point talking with people, but he right away measured 0.2, and then within an hour he tested himself 4 different times, and he got all the way up to 0.5. So, anybody else have any questions?